After almost a month of lockdown, French authorities decided to extend confinement for at least another 4 weeks. May 11th is the target date to start going back to some sort of a normal life, whatever that will be. In the meantime, strict confinement rules remain in place and people are encouraged to stay home. So, how does France, a country known for its food and gastronomy, cope with eating and cooking in confinement? Starting with, what are people allowed to shop for?
One of the few reasons why French people are allowed to break confinement is to go shopping for essential goods. And many of you are curious about what counts as an essential good and what shops are open. Well, pharmacies are open, as are grocery stores and other food shops like butchers. In fact, many butchers say business is booming. Since restaurants are closed, people are treating themselves to nice pieces of meat. And then, of course, bakeries are open. In a country where the baguette is the national symbol, access to fresh, daily bread is essential. It's the quintessential French comfort food and a way to hang on to normalcy when everything else is up in the air. You can tell what stores are open because of the long lines outside. Most shops only allow a few customers in at a time and have put markers on the ground so that people respect safety distances, at least 1 meter between each other, though not everyone does. Surprising as it may be, tobacconists, les tabacs, are open, which might seem weird during a pandemic. And this being France, cheese shops are open, of course, as are wine stores. Parks may be closed, but wine and alcohol are deemed an essential good during this unprecedented time. Just remember to drink responsibly.
France has officially been in lockdown since March 17th, and this has resulted in a totally new way of life for many of us. I know that personally I've been doing a lot more cooking than I used to. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it's a creative way to pass the time and also a way to treat yourself. But I'm not the only one cooking up a storm. Let's check in with our very own Genie Godula. Hey Genie, how you doing?
Hi, Flo. How are you? So good to see you.
Good to see you too. So tell me, what is your go-to confinement meal these days?
Well, I would say we have two. We definitely do a lot of pasta, pesto with a little bit of lardons, which are tiny little bacon bits because it's easy. You can keep it in the cupboard forever. So that's good to have on hand with a big green salad. And if it's a special occasion, we tend to do raclette, surprisingly, which is like a melted cheese dish with potatoes and ham. You know, there's nothing a little melted cheese can't fix, right?
Raclette is delicious. Usually you eat raclette in the winter though. So
I know.
definitely comfort food.
Okay, we like it enough to make it work.
So you've got kids, Jeannie. Have you been cooking with them?
Yes, I have. I've been baking a lot with my daughter who's 9. We made some great carrot cake cupcakes for Easter, which was fun, gluten-free because my husband is celiac, but that's a whole other challenge. And with my son, I've actually taught him how to make a really great quiche, and he made his first one all by himself yesterday, and it was delicious.
Yum. You've also been homeschooling your kids. How do you organize mealtime in confinement?
I would say we're probably like most people. Lunches, we tend to keep really simple, soups, sandwiches, whatever's left over in the fridge. And we tend to be a little bit more creative for dinner time just because we have a bit more time to actually plan it in the run up to dinner.
And then there's the 8 o'clock moment where you clap, right?
That's a very good point because it is always a question of trying to fit in now a walk or a run because we can't run until 7 p.m., getting back in time. Do you have dinner quickly and then you go clap? Do you have dinner before? Do you go to the run? It is a little bit confusing, but we work it out.
And what's shopping like in your neighborhood, Jeannie? Is there anything that you're having trouble finding these days?
Yeah, actually, there was a run on eggs for a while. We couldn't find eggs in the run up to Easter. Flour, same thing. As I was mentioning, we do a lot of baking at home. For a long time, couldn't find any regular flour, but you just go to a few different stores. You stand in a few more lines. It takes a little bit longer than usual, but you usually end up finding what you want.
Now, I don't know about you, but I've been trying to switch things up and pulling out some old recipes. I pulled out an old recipe by my grandmother. It's called popovers. It's a southern breakfast savory bun that you eat in the south of the United States. Have you pulled out any interesting recipes recently?
We haven't. I feel like we've mostly been going to the old favorites, but kind of rediscovering them, things we don't have a lot of time to make usually, like making homemade pancakes or, like I said, doing more baking or that kind of thing. I think we're more in the hunker down and make what we know phase right now, but we might get bored pretty soon.
And I know that I ordered pizza the other day because I couldn't take cooking anymore. Is there anything that you're absolutely craving?
Absolutely. I am craving a good night out for Mexican food with you.
I'm looking forward to that, Jeannie, and maybe some margaritas.
Absolutely. With caution.
Jeannie and I are going to have to be patient. Authorities have announced that bars and restaurants will remain closed after May 11th. Remember, that's the date that the French government wants to start ending confinement. In fact, bars and restaurants could remain closed until mid-July. So in the meantime, we're going to have to keep upping our cooking game.